Happy Monday, Saints fans. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Football is back tomorrow. The Saints will begin their first session of OTAs, their offseason workouts, tomorrow, May 23rd, and it'll go through May 25th. There's a couple different sessions of OTAs for New Orleans this offseason. But just in case you guys are new to football, or if you're new to the channel, new to the offseason, I want to lay it out for you. What exactly are OTAs? So it's strictly just voluntary workouts for the teams. No contact is allowed. They're going to be in helmets, they're going to be in shorts, and they're going to be shorts and then t-shirts. They're going to have low intensity of tempo and drills, 90-minute maximum for players to be on the field. It's all about player safety. It's, building some chemistry, getting guys in the building. Again, 100% voluntary. So when players aren't there, don't overthink it. Of course, we're going to break it down. We're going to talk all about it. And we're going to bring you guys all of the news and rumors and updates that come out of OTAs. If there's any injury issues, if there's anything else. If we remember, the OTAs is whenever C.J. Gardner-Johnson started, causing some problems and wanted to get traded. We also started getting Michael Thomas injury updates around this time last year. So be sure to subscribe and lock us in. We're going to break down anything notable that comes out of OTAs for you. So turn on your notifications and subscribe. All right, so in terms of players to watch, news stories, headlines, all sorts of information coming into OTAs, Derek Carr is player number one to look out for and to pay attention to. My firm belief is Derek Carr has to be at OTAs. There is no doubt about it. There is no question about it, and there's not even an argument to get there. It is important for a quarterback to build the chemistry that they have with their weapons and with their players, with their offensive line, with the coaches. Get familiar with the schemes. Get familiar with everything, especially when it's a new quarterback and a veteran quarterback that's been in a lot of the similar, or it's been on one team especially. He's only really known the Raiders. That's all he's ever known. That's all he's ever really experienced in the NFL. So it's important for not Taysom Hill, I almost said, but for Derek Carr to be at OTAs because he has a lot of guys that he needs to get some chemistry with. And we couldn't even fit every player on this list. We really couldn't. But just to name 10 out of, the 20-plus players that Derek Carr has as a weapon, you have Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Bryan Edwards, who's joining him, who he had chemistry with in Vegas, A.T. Perry, one of your draft picks, Rashid Shaheed. I expect a big year out of him this year. Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, Kendre Miller. You will obviously not see Kendre Miller getting a ton of reps and a ton of action at OTAs. That being said, he will still be present, I assume. I believe that he still should be around to get, familiarity, to learn the schemes, to learn the speed of the NFL rather than college football. Juwan Johnson as well, Mr. Reliable. And then Taysom Hill, not a tight end, not a quarterback, just a damn football player. And those are just a handful of the weapons, not to mention Foster Moreau, not to mention, if somehow he makes it, Tre'Quan Smith, but you also got Shaq Davis, Malik Flowers, all sorts of awesome players that were in the UDFA class as well. But you could already see Chris Olave and Derek Carr were getting in that work the other day. I've shown this picture before, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. But the Saints Twitter account did post this picture. Derek Carr, Chris Olave getting in that work. So I expect to see Derek Carr there. I hope to see him play well, obviously. But two, I want to see him take on the leadership role that we expect him to fill in and to be, because Derek Carr goes in and takes a locker room by storm in the best way possible. All right, so for Isaiah Foskey, he's the second guy that I'm going to be paying attention to because I'm enticed by him. I'm very, very intrigued with Isaiah Foskey, and I believe that the Saints are as well. I mean, in 44 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, almost 11 sacks, and 1 forced fumble for the Fighting Irish last year. This guy is going to bring the thunder, baby. So with Cameron Jordan, Nathan Shepard, Brian Brzee, Isaiah Foskey, this is what I would assume the starting defensive line will be about halfway through the season. I'm not going to say week 1 it's going to be the starting one, but I think this is what we're going to see more than anything as a starting lineup as the season progresses. Obviously, Cameron Jordan's great. Obviously, Brian Brzee is going to be a stud. Nathan Shepard, he's a speed guy. He's really quick, and he is going to be a fun player to plug in on the Saints roster as well, especially Colin Saunders, Tano Passanio, Carl Granderson, Peyton Turner. But let's bump up to Isaiah Foskey because I think that Isaiah Foskey will be a starter this season. Carl Granderson, I don't want to take anything away from him. He's a fine football player. He's a lot better than if I were to line up against him. He'd play a lot better if you lined up against him. But I'm just saying, I think that Isaiah Foskey has the ability to really take these defensive line by storm and to make a statement and to prove a point during OTAs, during training camp, during the remainder of this offseason as we approach the NFL season. I think that Foskey is a guy that the Saints really, really like. I personally really like. I'm excited to see what he can do in the rotation of the Saints defensive line. And I really do think that this is a guy who, whenever he was drafted, a lot of reviews and a lot of people were raving about how good his work ethic is, how he never gives up. And I think that those are things that are going to bleed into the rest of the team, and especially the rookie class who, let's be honest, you got to fight for your roster spot. It doesn't matter when you got drafted. It doesn't matter where you got drafted. It doesn't matter who you got drafted from. It doesn't matter how many stars you were when you're coming out of high school. You got to be a gamer. You got to be built different. And the NFL is hard. It's not an easy game, and it's not an easy league. So I think Isaiah Foskey will do a great job of having other players play well around him. But I want to ask you this, because I think Isaiah Foskey will be a starter this season. So what do you think he will be? Will he be a starter, or will he just be a backup all season? And I'm not saying just a backup. He's going to be a backup. Like, it's no problem being a backup. The Saints defensive line is very rotational. He's still a rookie. I have high expectations for Isaiah Foskey. Maybe it's a little unfair, but I really, really liked this pick whenever the Saints made it. So I really am going to keep an eye on Isaiah Foskey, as well as Bryan Edwards, because y'all know why. Tre'Quan Smith is still on the roster, and I have a lot more reasons to get into it. But before we get to that, guys, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go look in your closet after this video is done. I need you to take inventory. Say, all right, I have my Cam Jordan jersey. I got my Tyrann Mathieu jersey. I got my Chris Olave jersey. Where's my Derek Carr jersey? Well, you can get it right here at chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. We got all of them for you. We got every player, every color. We even got the color rush. We got some throwback jerseys as well. I will have the link available for you in the comment section and in the description of this video. Again, go look in your closet. I know you need a Derek Carr jersey. Go get geared up. Chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. All right, so Edwards and Tre'Quan Smith, that is a positional battle that you need to keep an eye on. I've been saying this for weeks. I truly do believe Bryan Edwards is going to be the player that edges out Tre'Quan Smith. I think that A.T. Perry, he has the potential to make a roster spot. I even think that Malik Flowers could make a roster spot. Shaq Davis? Maybe. I don't know. He's a UDFA. But hey, so is Rashid Shaheed. And look at him now. But in terms of these two guys, Bryan Edwards, we've shown this graphic before versus Tre'Quan Smith. Now, in 2022, Edwards was with the Falcons, didn't really do anything, so we're not really going to pay attention to those stats. We're going to pay attention to more of a comparison that is 16 games to 15 games, because I think that's about as easy as you can do it. 34 receptions to 19 receptions, 571 yards to 278 yards, 3 tutties to 1, 17 yards per catch almost versus just over 14 and a half. And then where Tre'Quan Smith's biggest, redeeming factor is that he's a great run blocker. But the reality of it is Bryan Edwards was better in 2021. And also Tre'Quan Smith's pass blocking numbers have been up, down, left, and right, and wildly inconsistent. My take on this, guys, I really do believe this is Tre'Quan Smith's job to lose. He's been around the team longer. He has the continuity with the team. He's familiar with how the team is run. But I do believe that Bryan Edwards is the guy for this job, to be the pass catcher, to be a run blocker, to do whatever you need him to do. I really think that Bryan Edwards was brought in because there's a familiarity with Derek Carr, and there's already that connection and that chemistry. I just don't know if Tre'Quan Smith has much time left on this roster. So OTAs is a big time for him to try and keep his roster spot. But Bryan Edwards, I need you to ball out, and I need you to get Tre'Quan Smith to play better, because either A, we get both of them and, whatever, you have Tre'Quan Smith play better, or B, Tre'Quan Smith doesn't play that well. He fades out, and the Saints roll with Bryan Edwards. That's my personal opinion. That's what I believe will happen. So I want you to let me know. Pick one. Which one of these two guys is going to make the roster? If it had to be one of them, maybe it could be both. I doubt it, but maybe. Pick one of these two guys. Type BE for Bryan Edwards. Type TS for Tre'Quan Smith. I can't wait to see what the Who Dat Nation has to say because I know you know ball. All right, my last player to watch is the newest addition to the New Orleans Saints, Foster Moreau. And, man, I've talked about this multiple times. I've talked about this so many times. I cannot wait to see Foster Moreau in the black and gold. You upgrade just like not Tre'Quan Smith. You upgrade just like Derek Carr, Bryan Edwards, Jonathan Abram. You are upgrading from the silver and black to the gold and black. I'm not saying that the Raiders are a way worse franchise entirely, but we all know the Olympics. Gold is first place, silver is second place. Sorry, John Borelli. You know I love you, but I'm sorry. Anyway, he's going to ball out. He's going to be an awesome addition to this offense. He's from New Orleans. He went to Jesuit High School. He was an LSU Tiger. The guy knows football. The guy knows Louisiana, and he knows that Louisiana is the state of football. And I will say this, I would love to see the Saints run a 2 tight end package. I would love to see them kind of mix that in there every once in a while because Juwan Johnson is a stud. He is a phenomenal football player, and I think that the Saints have to do everything they can to continue to get him the ball, continue to put the ball in his hands, but that doesn't mean Foster Moreau shouldn't get the same thing as well. Because when you look at Derek Carr's tight end room, these are your 2 starting guys, Juwan Johnson, Mr. Reliable, in 42 receptions, he had 508 yards, 7 touchdowns, 25 first downs, and just over 12 yards per catch. Foster Moreau, 33 receptions, 420 yards, 2 touchdowns, 12.7 yards per tote, and he also had 24 first downs. Guys, this tight end room is incredible. I love it, and I am just begging the Saints to let these 2 line up together. I think it would be super cool. I think running a 22 personnel would be awesome with these 2 guys. And I will also say this before we get into my honorable mentions. I do think that Foster Moreau is going to be a very quality player. He is a very awesome story. It is so cool to see him come back. Obviously, we can talk about it now. He kicked cancer's ass, and now he's playing it back in the league just a few months later. You can't help but just absolutely fall in love with this kid's story and love what the Saints have done to bring him in. I'm so pumped to see Foster Moreau play, and y'all know my opinion on it. But in terms of honorable mention, guys, there's 3 players that I really am going to encourage y'all to do the same, to pay attention to. So Jake Haener, quarterback, he stood out at rookie minicamp. He's a great football player. He's going to be your 3rd-string quarterback behind Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, and then Haener out of Fresno State. He is going to be very, very interesting. He showed a lot of promise. He showed a lot of comfortability. He was learning things at rookie minicamp. He was a guy who a lot of Saints fans and a lot of media heads just like me and a lot of analysts were very, very impressed with. A.T. Perry as well. He was a guy that impressed a lot of people at minicamp. And so did Kendre Miller, not because he performed well. He was very limited. He was off to the side doing his own thing. But Kendre Miller is a player that I expect to still be out there despite still being injured. Obviously, he's not going to get a ton of reps. We talked about this before. The Saints aren't going to rush him back to being 100% healthy and getting reps. But I expect him to still be out there, still participate to a certain degree, learn the system, learn the team, build chemistry, get out there, and then at the end of the day, learn Saints football because it's such a different speed and it's such a different level coming out of college to the NFL. But before we get out of here, guys, here's a couple just pictures. Jake Haener repping the black and gold at Rookie Media Day. I think it looks great. There's a couple kind of cringy pictures that are, a little funny. Jake Haener's just a funny dude. He's just a funny guy. I don't know what else you want me to say. Warren Sharp tweeted it out. It's pretty damn funny if you want to go take a look at it. But Jake Haener repping the black and gold. I think he looks sharp. But I think Kendre Miller looks like a damn stud. I mean, this guy wearing 25 is going to be so fun. I mean, do we remember the other rookie, or not rookie, but do we remember the other Saints running back who wore number 25? He was a stud. Reggie Bush. Yeah, I do too. I can't wait to see Kendre Miller line up in the black and gold. It's going to be so much fun. The dude also, let's just call it how it is. He's built like a damn freight train. He's huge. He's already built like an NFL veteran, and this guy's a rookie. So I'm pumped for Kendre Miller. I think he's going to be a phenomenal addition to the New Orleans Saints offense. But guys, let's go. OTAs are starting tomorrow. We will have everything for you covered. We will break it down. If there's any notable stories, any notable news, any notable updates, anything worth mentioning, even just a little bit, we're going to break it down for you, and we'll have it here for you guys tomorrow. But if you're pumped, I need you to type OTAs in the comment section because I'm going to be doing the same thing. Y'all stay golden, Who Dat Nation. We'll see you tomorrow for our first OTA breakdown.